Hey, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Curtis. Today, I am coming at you from the Borderline Bar, where I am going to have a conversation with Paul Quinn, otherwise known as Drunken Master Paul. Paul was an employee at Sierra Online back in 1995 for about 4 years. He has some great stories. He also works with Metal Jesus Rocks on his YouTube channel, talking about all things retro games. And Paul is just a fascinating guy with all kinds of cool stories. He owns a cookie company in Seattle. He has his own YouTube channel with about 10,000 subscribers. And he also had a very small cameo, actually a couple of small cameos in Phantasmagoria 2. And Paul was kind enough to agree to come on my show today. But before he does, I just want to quickly thank all of our Patreon members for helping make Conversations with Curtis possible. Couldn't do it without you. I would love more of you. So if you are in a position to do so, I would love for you to join our Patreon family. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter. And today is the first time that we are going to be using the YouTube Premiere feature as opposed to a live stream. I've been recording these interviews, but then live streaming them. And now we're going to just try to post them live on the YouTube Premiere chat. So hopefully that will go well, and we can all watch the premiere of this episode together. So please enjoy my interview with Drunken Master Paul. Paul Quinn, otherwise known as Drunken Master Paul. Welcome to Conversations with Curtis, and welcome back to our old stomping grounds, the Borderline.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me back. It's a hell of a flashback. Thank you so much. I think about this game and that experience regularly.
Really?
At least once a month, I'm thinking about what we did there, just because I'm still into gaming, and I'll talk about something, or somebody asked me about Phantas or my Sierra days.
Yeah.
And when I think of my Sierra days, a lot of things come up, and because I was in tech support, but the funnest bit was being in the games. And
yeah.
So
oh, I can't wait we'll get all into that in a little bit. I'm dying to talk about those moments. And I really appreciate you taking the time. But I had a quick question. So as a fellow Paul, yes. My question for you is, did you have Catholic parents?
I did not. I had Lutheran parents, but I believed on my mother's side, they kind of dabbled in Catholicism, because I remember very young going to the Catholic church in my hometown of Mount Vernon, Washington. And I have very vague memories, but one time I remember going in and there's this little dish of water.
Oh yeah.
You walk in with a sponge in it. And I thought that was in case your hands were dirty or messy. So I picked up the sponge and I mopped my face with it. I did my hands, I put it there and watched them. And everyone around me was aghast.
Oh, you had to go. If you were in the Catholic Church, you'd have had to go confession for that one. Now, the reason I ask is that the most of the Pauls that I've come across, like myself, were named after Saint Paul. So that was part of it. So, and my older brother is Peter. So I was very much, a product of Catholic parents. It's funny though, for us having the common name of Paul, I don't know about you, but until recently, I haven't run into a whole bunch of different Pauls. Do you have a lot of Pauls in your life?
I have a couple, but they're all around my age.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
no one's naming their kids Paul. It's all like Jaden and Jalen's and all that stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah. And they may have read the book of Paul and decided, maybe not.
Probably. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to do something with you that I've done with all of my guests so far, just as a kind of a fun icebreaker. And I've asked everybody to tell me their entire life story from the moment they were born to present day in 3 minutes or less.
Okay.
Now, the one thing I'm going to do different with you is this is brand new, and this could be a total bust, but let's just go for it. I'm going to, rather than just let you do a stream of consciousness, I'm going to we'll do a little timer, and we'll try to get as much in 3 minutes. I've got a whole bunch of just questions, and I'm just going to fire them off to you, and you fire back your answers as quick as possible. A little more than a yes, no, but
let me coffee up here.
All right, I got my 3 minutes here. So here we go.
All right, bring it.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Here we are. Where were you born?
Mount Vernon, Washington.
Where did you grow up?
In Mount Vernon, Washington.
What was the name of your neighborhood?
Baker and McLean Road.
Okay. Who are your parents?
My parents was Ruthell Quinn and Cecil Quinn.
What did they do?
My mom was a bartender forever, and my dad was in the Navy.
Nice. What do you have siblings?
I do. I have one younger brother. His name's Chris.
Chris, did you guys get along as kids?
Oh yeah, as much as any siblings do. I mean, we're very, very tight, and then we beat the crap out of each other. So,
do you guys get along now?
Very much so.
Good. Where did you go to elementary school?
Washington Elementary School.
What were you like as a kid?
I'm pretty much like I am now, kind of a nerd, kind of a geek. I like playing and imagining. And for example, when I went to Boy Scout camp, I spent more time playing with my buddy and our little rubber army men than I did actually doing anything for merit badge.
Nice. So this leads into the next question. What were two of your childhood obsessions?
Oh, doing radio stuff on my tape recorder and playing imagination with my various stuffed animals, including this guy, which is Henry.
Henry. That's awesome. How did you survive middle school?
Did I? I'm not positive.
Fair enough. What was the first book you read that blew your mind?
Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune.
Nice. What was the first movie you saw in a theater that blew your mind?
Oh, gosh, that's a good one. One that scared the crap out of me was Jaws.
Oh yeah, me too, man. I'll never forget that experience. Where did you go to high school?
Mount Vernon High School.
Were you popular?
I was, but I was a theater geek. So I was popular with the theater kids and the creative bunch.
Gotcha.
Not so much with the quote unquote popular kids,
okay.
But they envied me. I know
it. Were you a troublemaker?
A little bit. More rebellious, more challenging than anything else. I was one of those kids that, not to brag too much, but I got straight A's and never worked for it. So I was always questioning what people were teaching me.
Nice.
Does this really matter and stuff? And so,
oh, I got it. Yeah.
Smart enough to question what the teacher told me, but not smart enough to keep my mouth shut when I needed to.
What was your, where did you go to college?
I went to college for 1 year at Boston University.
Boston University. What was your major?
I was starting to study computer engineering because I listened to my counselor, and I love computers, don't get me wrong, but in the second semester I spent more time sewing sequins on my Rocky Horror costume than technically going to class. I thought maybe it wasn't the right place for me at that time, so I moved back to Washington.
Gotcha. What was your first job outside of college?
My first job was working in restaurants, cook, waiter, assistant manager, that kind of gig.
Nice. And oh, we did it. That's not bad, man. That's pretty good. All right. Turning you up. Stop it. Okay. Very cool. I've got a few more. I'm loving this. Do you mind me kind of jumping through some more things here?
Roll on. It's your show, baby.
Yeah. So in reading your kind of reading up on you a little bit for today, you have an array. It seems to me that you have had an array of jobs in your life. I'd love you to give me a quick rundown of all the jobs you've had since college until right now.
I'll do my best to remember them all. Some use the term Renaissance man. I prefer the term life snacker. Go through life like trying different things. So out of college, I got back into food service, and then I was a not landlord's the wrong word, a property manager for a while, back in food service. I worked in Seattle, a place called Tubbs. If you're a Seattle.
Oh, I know Tubbs. I've never been to Tubbs, but I know of Tubbs. Yeah.
Yeah. I worked there for a couple of years. We could do a whole podcast on that.
Oh, I'll bet that really could be. I mean, oh yeah, boy, that should be
amazing times there. And then after that, I got into doing a wardrobe for the Seattle Theaters Union. If you put theater and Seattle together, you get Seattle. In my mind. And so I did that for about 7 years. I was on wardrobe. During that time, I got into espresso and coffee. I was running a stand, and then I got into an espresso truck. And that's important because that truck stopped at Sierra Online in Bellevue, where I gave free mochas to the tech support manager until I weaseled my way into a job. And that's how I got into supporting games and gaming. And
so was that your first job outside? That was your first job within the tech industry, working at Sierra?
Yes. Yeah. My first
How
one.
old
Doing
were you
15.
and how old were you at the time?
Oh God, it was 95. So what, 27 years ago?
So yeah,
No,
okay. So
maybe yeah, 31.
okay. Wow. Yeah, I think we're about the same age.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So then Sierra, how long were you there?
I was there for I think 3 or 4 years. And then I went to where did I go after that? I went from there. I worked for Wizard of the Coast for a while.
Yeah.
Community manager for Magic Online.
Okay.
And then from there, we moved to the East Coast, moved to DC for a little while. And there I just kind of had odd jobs. I worked in a motorcycle dealership and I became roast master for a coffee company back there. And at that point is where I met Duff Goldman from Charm City Cakes. I saw him on the Food Network on a Food Network challenge doing crazy stuff. He seemed like a good guy and he's in Baltimore. So I just sent him an email basically saying, hey, I'd love to come up and just play an intern because I've always loved to cook. My mom taught me to cook when I was 5. And so he said, yeah, come on up and let's talk. So I drove up, and the day I talked to him, he was on the phone and he hung out. I said, hey, Beth, how are you doing? Good to meet you. Chat. Said, when are they going to give you your own show? And he goes, that was them on the phone just now. They were just wrapping up the details.
Oh my God.
So that's how, when he got Ace of Cakes.
Oh
so
my.
I became an intern a month before he got the show. And that's how I got into baking. And
were you baking prior to that, or were you just cooking?
I was baking on my own. Coming up with cookie recipes. I had Mondays and Tuesdays off. So while my wife was working, I'd watch Alton Brown and Good Eats all day and then cook food for her.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, that turned into me getting into the sculpted cake thing. And then when we moved back to Seattle, I opened Jet City Cakes. So we did that for a little while. And that was in the middle of the recession in 2008. So people weren't buying, $2,000 cakes so much.
Right.
And so after that,
the boom is now. Are they going to now? You preceded, like, I mean, isn't there there's a show on Netflix now about is it cake? Isn't that a new show?
Right. People are really going after it now. And back then it was Food Network Challenge, which I was on 3 of those, doing the challenges. And then I did a show called Last Cake Standing with another friend of mine. But yeah, back in the day, it was Mike of Mike's Amazing Cakes here in Bellevue that kind of started that whole thing. He was a godfather of that. And then Duff was pretty much the first person to get his own show doing it. Cake Boss was happening at the same time. So it kind of either Cake Boss or Ace of Cakes. And then, yeah, people started learning how to do it. And there's people who were way better at it now than I ever was. So it's cool to see this stuff on like Is It Cake? It's amazing what they can do.
So, it's so fascinating hearing your journey. I also know you run your own YouTube channel, which has a pretty hefty following, and something I definitely want to talk more about that as well. But you've spun so many plates, and you seem like someone who is just naturally curious and like to kind of get your hands dirty in just about any little area you can. Is that true? Is that something you've always been like?
Oh yes, very much so. To the point where it's it gets to the point where I kind of stall. I have analysis paralysis where I'm curious about so many things and I want to do so many things that I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
I kind of just what I want to do, but if I do that, I can't do that. I can't. Right. Are you familiar with the with Terry Pratchett and the Discworld series of books?
Only peripherally. No, I've never read him. I've read about him forever. I hear he is just incredibly witty and funny, and just people have talked about. So I really should, but yeah, no. But that said, I don't.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing series, and he wrote a series for young adults, the Tiffany Aching series. And the reason I bring this up is the character Tiffany. She has a little baby brother named Wentworth. And he liked candy, he loved sweeties. And Wentworth, if you surrounded him by all the sweeties he can eat, he'll just freeze and start crying because if he's eating that sweetie, he's not eating that sweetie. So I call it the Wentworth syndrome. And I run into that a lot in my life. I said, okay.
Too many choices.
put that aside and work on this. Because once I focus on something, I really enjoy it and I have fun and I can really get into it.
Well, one of the things I also, I've found to be interesting in my life is, I think I went down the other road where I was obstinate about, I had made a choice early on to be an actor, and I worked hard at it. I went to school. My job, that was it. It took me a long time to make that decision, but I made it, and I just decided I was going to be it. And so, of course, as an actor, you're waiting for jobs to come your way. In the meantime, I took a ton of odd jobs, took a ton of temp work and things like that. But the mistake I made, looking back, is that I would not allow myself to put much energy or curiosity into whatever I was doing, because I felt like it was going to take away what I was focused on. And looking back, life's just longer than that. And if I'm spending 8 hours at, a diamond sale, if I'm doing online diamond sales, it might have been better to learn about it and just to take in what they've learned, because it's ultimately going to serve you in some way in the future. And I find that the people that I envy or look at their careers, it's because they did so many things, and the next thing they knew, they had this wealth of different experiences that helped funnel towards whatever they're doing now. And it seems to me that you're kind of in that place, that you've been able to do so many things and be able to use it to this really cool advantage,
Yeah, it's and that's true. That's kind of the way I've chosen to run my life. But I mean, to be frank, I'm just a little bit jealous of people who have found what they want and what they can do, and they do well, and that's just what they do. A friend of mine is a fantastic guitar player, and that is what he does. He can't sit in his living room without eventually picking up the guitar and just start strumming. Right. So that kind of thing. So while I'm a little jealous of that as well, and a little jealous of you, to be frank, because I thought about that choice when I was young. I thought about, am I going to, really focus on acting and go to LA and try to do that, because it's something I really wanted to do. And then there's just so many other things that got my attention that I wasn't able to focus at that point. Right. So I'm focusing a little bit later in my life. So I've done all these things, and now I'm saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Right. But on the other hand, I see people that are just, I got to do this one thing. And then I think, well, what if that doesn't work? Then that can be a path to misery. It can. It absolutely can. And in the meantime, you should. I think that you can do both. I think that but the thing is to not deny yourself living or growing along the way. There's more to life than the guitar or getting cast in a movie or something like that. Right. So. Well, balance, and I'm probably the first person ever to say that life is all about balance. You can write that down. Okay. Yeah, good. I'll take that. Got it right down here. All right, good. Excellent. Thank you. We got, if nothing else, we got that out of today. All right. So our connection is Phantasmagoria 2 and Sierra Online. And you have, we'll show you, I'm going to make you watch your cameo in a little while, but we never knew each other during that time. You came on, on the set, but I have since heard of you, because I know that you and Metal Jesus Rocks do a YouTube channel together, and you guys do a lot of gaming, and you're very predominant in the retro world. And so your name's become, as I've been doing this whatever this thing is, this YouTube channel of kind of, I don't know, but if you're, I'm not even sure how aware you are of this, Paul, but last year out of COVID fatigue, I realized it was the 25th anniversary of Phantas 2. And I had a lot of time, and people had been reaching out to me, and I hadn't really done anything about it. So I just made this decision to do a little oral history. And I reached out to a bunch of the main players, actors, and Andy and Lorelei and people like that. And we just did I did a monthly stream where I just got people to talk about what they remembered about it. So that's since moved into a more broad spectrum of some of the games from Sierra and of that time. And so I'm very much enjoying this.
it's, and I'm coming at it from a very different, I was never a gamer. So I played Phantasm 2 for the very first time in my life about 2 months ago.
You didn't play it after it came out?
Never once. I couldn't have a computer that could. I couldn't bear to watch myself over and over again, and so it was just, I never did. I have enough perspective now where I can be a little more forgiving of whatever I was judgmental about. But so anyways, it's been really fun doing this, and I don't know where it's going to lead, but I do realize I'm seeing now that what you all did back in the day has real value to people. It was an incredibly creative time. It was the beginning of an era of people seeing the art in gaming and being able to tell stories in ways that had never been told before. And people are, I don't know, for whatever reason, COVID or whatever, people are really, there's a real resurgence and a nostalgia for these games. So it's fun to play them. It's fun to talk to the people who made them or who were around during that time. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you today, because you seem to have a pretty good, you were around, and I'm curious. I'd love to talk a little bit about your time at Sierra and how. Okay. So when you got hired, how did you get hired? I mean, you said you were on a food truck,
right?
and so yeah, how did you get?
Before we dive into that, let me just comment a little bit on what you're doing here, because this is the first I've heard of what you've been doing. I went and looked at your channel a little bit, and the interesting thing about you doing this at this time, you being who you are, is that the retro scene has been building for quite a few years, but with COVID and with some other things happening in the industry, people are paying a little bit more attention, and people are getting really hungry for this. And I think the beauty of what you're doing is that you're not a gamer. You came in from the outside to do this thing, which was Phantasm 2. And I literally just got back from interviewing Ken and Roberta Williams with Metal Jesus Rocks. Right, and we talked about this very thing a lot. Not a lot of it made it on camera. We were talking about it over dinner about Phantasm and Phantasm 2 and how groundbreaking they were. Nobody was doing this. Mm-mm. And in fact, Ken was kind of whinging on that he kind of kneecapped Phantasm 1 because he pushed Phantasm 2 out so fast. So it came out so fast that people dropped Phantasm 1 and went to Phantasm 2. But nobody was doing what we were doing at that time, as far as the full motion video and all that capture. And it was like being on a movie set. Now, I've done a little bit of extra work on movies, not as much as you, obviously, but I was in, crap, I forgot the name. David Lynch series.
Not Blue Velvet, but no, the Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah, Twin Peaks. I was in the pilot for that. So I've been on sets and on this and everything. So I got an idea of what it's like. And it was like shooting a movie. But weirdly, you had to shoot the little vignette because somebody was playing you. So, and the only other people that were doing that was Origin doing Wing Commander.
Right.
As far as I know. And now with graphics being what they are, that full motion video is gone. But it's I haven't watched all your videos yet, but I'm going to, because I think from my perspective, being a gamer and been in the industry, I'm really curious to see those interviews with everybody who was in it, because like I said, I think about Phantasm 2 about once a month.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I mean, I had gone down the other road where it was an acting job that was a great job that came my way. I didn't know anything about that, but it was like my it was like I felt like I was being paid to it was like an acting workshop on the grandest scale of being a main actor in a film, because we were on, they had made the decision after Phantasm 1 to go full sets, to go full locations, to do minimal green screen, blue screen, or whatever it was. So, did you ever go on the set? Did you ever go and see all the soundstage that they had there and all the sets that they had created?
I was just at the borderline, and that
was so that was on location. Yeah,
that was a weathered wall. But I was in, if you recall, the final scene with the monster.
Yeah, see, now that I was looking around for that. Wait, the final scene with the monster. Explain that moment to me.
Okay. It's a weird moment. And this is one of the things about doing tech support at Sierra is we were cheap labor. We were so into games. We were getting paid nothing. So the fun of being at a game company. So when they're making games and they say, hey, we need people to be in the game, we're like, us. And so we didn't get paid for any of that. I mean,
of course.
I don't even think I got paid to be an extra in Phantas. I think we had to, but yeah, we did, because anyway, I'll get back. That's irrelevant. So for the monster, apparently that end scene where you're confronting the monster, the actor that they'd hired from LA bailed. He called and said, no, I'm not going to come up. I've got this other thing. I'm not going to do it. And he's working for scale. So he just completely bailed. So the producer called me because she knew I'd do anything, and said, hey, this person
they put you in the makeup.
Yeah, they're shooting tomorrow. Can you do this? So I went to my boss, said, hey, I want to do this. He said, okay, well, you got to take time off. I'm not going to pay you for this. I said, okay, fine. So yeah, that night I went and met the makeup guy, and because they were custom, he made me my own custom.
Oh my
teeth
God.
For the monster.
Oh,
and
my
by
God.
the way, I kept them.
Yeah, of course.
They don't fit anymore. My teeth I tried to put them in a couple of times.
It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's gonna snap my teeth off. So that's how I got that gig. And
was it during the green screen stuff where
yes.
we're like zapping each other, or what was what do you remember?
It was a very end scene where you're basically I think it's a part where you're making the decision, or there's a realization that it's you. And so you didn't really see, because I wasn't wearing the contacts. So it was basically shooting from behind. So they put me, no, it had to be, because I had the teeth in. So a little shot of the face. And then there's the scene where, I'm going to back up for this, where the hand comes up like this and you catch it.
Yeah.
That's my hand.
No. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to try, before we sign off today, I think I can find that.
Awesome.
And if I can, we'll show that. That's amazing. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And so we ended up.
Oh, go ahead.
So we spent the day. I'm hanging out with you that day, and you were in makeup, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much of me you saw if you came on or not. That's a little bit fuzzy. But at one point, when the hand came up, the angle was wrong, because they didn't actually have me in the makeup. It was just his hand. They had like the head. They had everything on a mannequin, and my hand was coming up like this, and it's like the angle just was weird.
Yeah.
And so I just said, why don't you just I'll put the makeup on? And they go, no, it's super hot in there, blah, blah, blah. And they actually fought me on it. And I said, no, I'll put the thing on. I said, oh, okay. So I put it on, and it worked better. They had a hairdryer keeping me cool. And the gooey slime that they had, which I love to this day, and did that. So yeah, they took some shots of me with the mouth and everything. And it was basically, it was the one day left to shoot, and the actor bailed.
Yeah.
And so I came in.
Or maybe, it could have been one of those things too, whether I don't remember hearing that he bailed, and he very much could have, but, we've talked a lot, as I've talked to numerous people, and, the budget, they blew through that budget very quickly. And so by the end, it was bare bones.
Okay.
We had gone way over budget. And I can see it's very possible that the producer might have said, hey, let's not fly the actor up here. No one knows who this guy is. Let's put someone else in the makeup. Do you remember the producer, Matthew Thornton?
I would probably know if I saw him.
Okay, but no real interaction with him.
Yeah, not really. There's a woman I was dealing with mostly.
Okay, yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if half my memories are not the way they are, which is so. I'm going to do a memory check with you on which way we remember things.
Yeah.
But that was the story I got, was that the actor, basically what I was told is he opted not to come up.
Yeah, which is possible. Yeah, I don't know any of the details, but I'm just trying to put certain things together. It would, all of that is very viable.
Yeah. But back in the day, I would not be surprised if they said, "Hey, can we get the cheap guy in here to do this?" Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Now, did you work on the first one too?
No, I didn't. I had started at Sierra in '95, which is
so they had already. This is before. Yeah, they were still in was it Oakhurst or whatever it's called. Where were they? What was
no, they were up in Bellevue at Eastgate at that point.
By that time, yeah.
Yeah, Phantas 1 came out just after I got there.
Okay, gotcha. And so you worked in tech support.
Yes.
And so I'm sure you have some fun stories to tell about those days.
Oh my God! And again, you got another podcast you want to do?
Yeah, right.
Jason
right.
and I've talked about this a lot. But anyway, it was a great time at Sierra. I got the job because I was running in a mobile espresso truck that stopped there. And I had already played a few Sierra games. I had no idea they were there. And so the employees would come out and I was chit-chatting with them. Sierra, like the game company, right up there.
Yeah.
Squee fanboy here. And then I got to talking with the tech support manager and saying, if you're hiring, I'm interested, have a free mocha. And to the point where he said, yeah, fill out a resume. So I did, and I got hired. And that was end of July 1995. And Windows 95 came out right after I started. So
how tech savvy were you at the time? Were you pretty were you winging it, or did you kind of know what you were doing?
I kind of knew what I was doing. I was into computers. I'd played with the old Radio Shack TRS-80s. I did a little computer engineering in college.
Okay.
So I was familiar with it. I had my own machine, etc., and I could work with that. I had to learn what a driver was and how to make a boot disk and all that stuff. But they actually had a really good training program. They kind of knew what they were doing as far as how to set things up, and then they threw enthusiastic bodies at it.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good time. We tech support, and I don't think we'll ever have this again in the gaming industry or anywhere else. But tech support was kind of the I won't say the foundation, but kind of the bedrock of developing the games outside of the actual developers and programmers, because we did the QA, we wrote the troubleshooting guides, and we played the games.
Did you also, so did you guys write because I'm both Phantasmagoria games, the second one especially, that some of those puzzles are just flat out impossible without some sort of a cheat sheet. So were you part of the involvement of creating those guides?
Walkthroughs?
Walkthroughs, yeah.
No, we actually did the tech guides.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So if you're having trouble running the game, you would go
I see. I got you.
And then customer service, they'd write the walkthroughs. But yeah, we played all the games. It was a great time. It was a lot of work for not a lot of money, but hey, we were in the gaming industry and with the biggest company on the planet. We also threw the best parties.
I'll bet. What was the vibe like there, working there?
It was fun. It was like I wouldn't go as far as say it was like a family, except that there were people you loved and people you hated, just like family.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get away from them, not unlike family. But it was like being in a big like a sorority or a sorority. Like we're all in college together, having fun, watching each other's back, playing pranks on each other, and it was fun. It was a good time, and I look back at that really fondly.
That's great.
Then from there I went to OneNet, which was their online world that they built.
And that was after they had sold. Was that after Sierra had gone down, or were you there? Yeah. Were you there when it all exploded, or was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was there when they were sold both times, and things were coming apart. I left when OneNet was shut down. They shut that thing down, and then soon after that, they started selling things off, and it became basically a publishing house.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I went to OneNet, and then I went to WorldStream, which was Ken Williams' internet radio, his podcasting before there was podcasts.
Oh wow.
And I did a show on there for a while. Yeah, we didn't even hit half the stuff I've done in my life, by the way.
I know. I believe me. I know that already because I've done a little. I've done enough. Just looking at your LinkedIn page, I'm like, my God, this guy, he's done so many things. It's crazy. Yeah. So it's too much to your life's too big to capture in an hour interview.
Huge, massive. Netflix, send me a contract.
Well, I want to get on to why don't I do this now, because it'll be fun, because tell me, I'm going to share with you what I've picked, what I've been able to some borderline stuff. So this is, you remember the borderline here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This, I think that's your stool right there.
I get
it's not that. It might be this one right here. So
I think it was one up, but that doesn't matter.
Okay. But I'm just going to show you a couple little scenes, and you tell me if there's anybody in here before we get to your cameo. Oh. You tell me if there's anybody in here that you recognize that were was part of your crew.
All right.
So here's what we're walking through. Huh? First person we'll see is that person right there.
Yep.
Any idea who that is?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly who that is. That is my girlfriend at the time. Her name is Leslie.
Seriously?
Dead serious. I've got a good story on this too.
This is awesome.
And the person next to her that's about to pass is Lorelei Shannon.
Yes, and we go over that in a second. But this was your girlfriend at the time, Leslie. Yep. I love it. And she worked there too, obviously.
No, she didn't. She didn't work at Sierra. She had her own thing going on.
So you just said, "Come along. We need people."
Yeah, she and I were actors together in Seattle doing various things. So
that is
into it.
Fantastic.
And that outfit she's wearing, I made.
What?
Yep.
See, already we have already getting this is so great. So then of course we see Lorelei and then the mask, which was just awesome.
Yeah.
And then she had another part in earlier. She plays a mental patient. You're not in the mental patient scenes, are you?
No, I'm not in that. I'm in 3 scenes that I know of. This one, the end one with the monster, and the sex scene.
Right. And then I know these 2 young ladies, they found either at a casting call or at some bondage invite club or something, because those are the ones that kind of had the big one point. Curtis walks into a threesome in a restroom, and they're all part of that. I remember they got dressed in the trailer that I was in, and I was so intimidated by them. Let's see. Hard to see. Anybody here look like anybody you might know? I can see.
Yes, the person to your right, I know her. I can't place her name, but I remember knowing her. I don't know if she was in the costuming world or what. I can't think of her name, but I did know her at the time.
Okay, great. And I think that's it. And I can show you, this is who we're going to be talking to in just a couple seconds here.
Yeah, she looks really familiar. But
I'm trying to think, you probably can't, you really can't. There's just, the quality is so bad, you can't even see faces.
Well, the person to your left, I know her.
They're here?
No, to your character left, her.
Okay.
Yeah, I know her. I'm trying to think of where I've met her. It might have been at another casting call, another thing, but I remember she worked for the Disney store at this time. So yeah, again, she's not a tech sport person, but
okay.
There's Brendan Vanis.
Who's this?
That's Brendan and Cindy Vanis.
Okay.
So they're married now. Brendan worked, I think he was a developer at the time, and Cindy was with us in tech support. Still a good friend of mine.
Awesome. So you stopped him there. Okay, good. That's all I need to show you there. And then here's a little scene before your scene. Tell me if you know who these people are.
Okay.
You know, I think you'd be more comfortable in that yuppie bar down the street.
Oh my God, yeah, that's Chris Lloyd.
Chris Lloyd?
Yeah, he was one of my guys in tech support.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a fun little scene he has. So
really? Well, I think you'd be more comfortable in a sideshow.
Yeah. Burn.
Beginning to like you.
Ooh.
I love it. He's on a leash. All right, so here we go. This leads us to the scene everybody's been wanting to see.
Yes.
All right, you want to prep us for this?
Okay. Okay, I can tell you the story on this before or after we show it, but I can tell it now.
Oh, you can do it after? Whatever you want. What's better?
We'll do it after.
All right, let's watch the scene. So another borderline guest that Curtis runs into as he's seeking out Therese.
Excuse me. Could you tell me if...
Want to play? I could make you scream with pleasure.
No thanks.
Amateurs.
Oh, then this is the last guy. Was this someone that you knew? Was he part of the?
No, I don't think so. I think he was the just part of the casting call. I don't recognize him.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's stop the show. Yeah, so tell us your story.
So if you watching at home, rewind, and the person who walked in front of me just as I turned around, that was also a text person. That was Amber Green.
Okay.
I can't believe I remember these names.
Yeah, good for you.
So that scene, they were doing they had all the extras there, and they were doing a casting call for that. And the director, Andy, I want to say
Andy, Andy Hoyos.
He was going to put Leslie, my girlfriend, in that role. So I think she was reading it with one other person, but it was obvious he's going to go with her. And then I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I've been starting to do drag. Would it be interesting if Curtis tapped them on the shoulder and turned around and it's a drag queen? And I think that could be really funny." And he go, "Oh, that's a brilliant idea." So I did a read, and he cast me. So I stole it from my girlfriend at the time.
That's so great. And that really further just cements how much I like Andy Hoyos, the director. He tells the story. There's a famous scene, anybody who, it's not famous, but it's famous for anybody who knows this game. Mm-hmm. But there's this classic moment outside the borderline where these three dancing dudes kind of just sort of go across the screen in this syncopated way. And it's just the most bizarre moment. And anybody who's geeked out on Phantaz 2 will all comment on this. And Andy was like, we finally were like, well, where did this come from? And so he said, we were outside. It was like 2 a.m. and we were shooting these exterior scenes. And I saw these guys in the back of the alley and they were doing these dance things together. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, this is great. So we walked up to him and he said, would you guys be interested in doing this? And they kind of figured it out right away and they did it. And it's cheesy and silly and goofy. But it just shows that Andy was open to anybody. So he was always open to new ideas. And also, one of the things about, Phantaz 2 that has really surprised me and has made me, enjoy this project more and more is just how open it was to otherness, and there, talk about no one was doing games like these, but Phantaz 2 and Lorelei, having written it, they were showing different kinds of, alternate reality, alternate, lifestyles, and not in any way making fun of them. In fact, I think Curtis is the one who's, he's wearing, by the way, I wore as close to a jean jacket as I could today, but that's, but, he's the outsider. They all are very much in their element. And this game did not ever do what most 90s kind of thing was and make fun of it. And so again, your character, belongs in that place way more than Curtis's does. And it's a great line, amateurs, right? What a great moment.
Well, actually, amateurs was my improv. That wasn't in the script.
Oh, that's great. Well,
I poached that from Shock Treatment, the movie Shock Treatment. Which is the sequel to Rocky Horror. I was huge into Rocky Horror at the time. You might have noticed from the makeup. But Patricia Quinn, her character, in the one point turns to somebody and goes, "Amateurs," and I love that so much. And I kind of poached that from her. But
that's great.
That was the beauty of that, and especially Lorelei. I mean, Lorelei was edgy anyway. Yeah. To give you an idea, if you walk to her office at Sierra, the sign said Lorelei Shannon's office, where every day is Halloween.
I love it.
Lorelei was Lorelei no matter 24/7, no matter where she was. It's awesome. Yeah. But something about Phantaz 2, Andy was willing to just listen and improv. And one thing I did notice, I made a couple of suggestions, and he thought about it and said, "No, we're going to do it this way." So he would consider it, and if he liked it, he went with it. If not, he would just, he wouldn't yank you. He would just say,
he was a good lead. He was a good captain of a ship. He listened to everything and took what worked and decided and was strong enough to say no to things that he didn't feel strongly about.
Yeah. And something that I really appreciate about just looking back on this in that era is that the otherness of the characters in Phantaz and Phantaz 2, it wasn't like they're shining a spotlight. This person is weird, and it was like, it's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
Get on with your life. It's like this person's this way and this person's this way. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't unless the story had a twist to it or something. So I really appreciated that. And I think the 90s, especially the late 90s, were a time when TV was starting to play with that a little bit. Thinking Star Trek: The Next Generation was playing with it a little bit, where you would see maybe a same-sex couple walking down the corridor, and that was it, and nobody blinked.
Right.
So it wasn't that it's unusual or it's weird and you need to focus on this. It's just what.
Yeah, and also the character that I played, because we find out later he's other in himself from another sort of dimension, or he's been spit out as this replicant of some sort, but he doesn't know that, and he's kind of this wide-eyed, he's open to everything. He doesn't, it's funny, the one moment he actually says no to you, but for the most part he kind of just is open to what people ask him to do. And that's what makes him interesting. And I think a lot of people who played this game who never had these kinds of, it's not really a role model, but never had this kind of, I guess I've had a lot of people say that, bisexuality or BDSM or any of those things, this was the first time it was introduced to them. They're like, oh my God, this is the first time I'm seeing someone who's not judging it, or not, that this could be okay, and I found that it was a pretty awesome thing to be a part of something like that. I didn't quite realize it at the time, but
neither did I.
But it had quite an effect on people in a very positive way, So it's funny because I'm playing right now. I played Phantaz 2 and I streamed it, so it's on our website, and so that was a bizarre, surreal moment of me watching myself 25 years ago do this thing, and kind of remembering but not really knowing how to play the game. And the game, I've seen all the footage for, having done all this stuff, so the footage is all familiar to me. But once I finally got into the game, there is a moodiness to it. There is it does take you to a place that I didn't quite expect. I really found myself getting more caught up in the world. And now I'm playing Phantaz 1 with Victoria Morsel Hemmingson, who played Adrian. And like me, she had never played the game before. So she's playing it for the very first time
really
in her life. And so we're doing every Monday right now at noon. We're just doing an hour and a half a day, and we're just working our way through the game. And it's so much fun. We're having a blast. Yeah.
That's so cool, because I was doing a Twitch stream 3 days a week before I opened my cookie company, and I kind of had to swing and pivot on that. But I'm going to get back into doing that. And after talking to Ken and Roberta, I fired up Phantaz 1 and started playing it. I thought, no, I'm going to play this on my stream, because I've never played Phantaz 1 all the way through. I've done 2, but I haven't done 1.
Oh, great.
And, so I'm looking forward to that.
It's fun. I'm really enjoying it. It's funny because people are in both camps. I just think, what I liked about their idea about Phantasmagoria just being like the Marvel universe, it just was a thing. And that had they continued, I liked this idea that there were going to be just these fully separate installments. I thought that there could have been a little bit more fun. It would have been great to have had like a moment of Adrian showing up, in a way in Phantaz 2, and sort of having those kinds of, interconnected moments. But they're such different games. I mean, they're really not, really can't compare the two. Phantaz 1 is just a good old fashioned, haunted house mystery. There's really not much in the way of character development. It's really all about finding your way through all of these rooms and all of these things and just kind of picking. So I think it's a more fun game in terms of what you can gather and what you can, how you can, get to the next place. It doesn't have any of the sort of psychological heft that Phantaz 2 attempted to get.
Yeah.
And Phantaz 2 is also just a much, this was on purpose. It's just a much more beautifully shot, cinematic. And it's got some gorgeous lighting and some great, like look at the art direction of this stuff, So it would have been interesting to see where they had gone with this, had they, and I'm curious, you got to tell me a little bit. I know that Ken is not a fan of Phantas 2. I know that he's also talked about, and I think this probably makes sense that they rushed it out too soon. Whether he liked it or not, it might have been better to wait a little bit, to get the next one out.
Yeah.
But do you get the sense that he just has written that one off? That's just the bad seed in the whole canon?
No, I don't think so. Whether it was his taste or not, I think doesn't really matter a lot for Ken. Ken is more the money and production guy. He has opinions on the games, of course, but no, I seem to recall that he thought that there could have been a whole series, but he sold the company and Sendint just really didn't do much with the IPs. What's really interesting though, thinking about what you just said, is Phantas 2 is way more cinematic. It's shot more like a movie, and that was the way they wanted to do it. And Lorelei was driving that one. Roberta, we were talking about Phantasmagoria 1 and how she said that she had to keep telling the director to cut the cutscenes down. There's too much chit chat between characters. There's something for the gamer has to get back to playing the character. And we don't want to listen to all this dialogue.
It's true. There's a lot. It is crazy how slow that even in Phantas 2, there's a modern audience just can't handle that much relaxed slow time. Go ahead.
And Ken was complaining about that with modern games in the interview we just did. Is that he's tired of playing games where you have to click this dialogue and listen to this dialogue. Classic RPGs like Mass Effect and games like that, where you have to go through all the dialogue. That drives him nuts. So, but it's interesting. Roberta multiple times said that she doesn't want to have long dialogue. It's like give them the information and get back to playing. Which that relies so much more on a really good playability design.
Mm-hmm.
So you're playing the character, you're solving the puzzles. She is way more of a let's put up puzzles to solve, with the story kind of threading that together, as opposed to the story driving the game with puzzles and things to discover within that story. And both ways are valid. It's just a really different style. And Roberta being Roberta, coming from text adventures, and you heard they're redoing Colossal Cave.
Yeah, I've heard so many things. This is such a great time right now, and and I'm going to talk with and I'm very much outside of my comfort zone. Tomorrow I'm going to talk with David Fox, who's part of the team who's doing the new Return to Monkey Island. He was at Lucas Arts for years and worked on all the he was around during all the heyday of the Indiana Jones stuff and did all that. But I think we can't really talk about Monkey Island yet because it's not out. But there's all these new exciting games from these stalwarts. It's so exciting. Did you get a chance to see a little bit of what they were doing with their game?
Yeah. Actually, we interviewed them before the big announcement.
Okay.
So we got to see some clips, got to play the game a little bit.
Yeah.
This stuff has all been released now, so there's no NDA to worry about here. They put that out, and Metal Jesus put out his video on it. Unfortunately, we were supposed to put ours out as a big announcement, but a couple of logistical things got in the way. So the thing with him sitting on the couch saying "got an announcement" is about a week or two late. But anyway, the content is still really good.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting concept. It's going to be really fascinating to see how well they do and how fast they learn.
Yeah.
They're very much coming at this from that old school perspective, which I think is good. I think it's useful now, but I think they need to get a little more in tune with modern games and how modern gamers play.
Right.
I think they could shoot themselves in the foot if they try to make it a little too simplistic.
Right.
I'm not sure. I've not had any of my game designs accepted at Sierra, so I can't say I'm a designer. But I've had lots of ideas. But it'll be really interesting. And I think that it's overdue for some of these classic game developers to get back into the fold. And I say this because we have these things in our pockets now, these magical little pieces of glass that's all witchcraft. There's no circuitry in these, by the way. I don't even know that. It's all witchcraft. It's chicken bones and grass skirts. But those are classic devices. Touch devices are classic for playing those style of adventure games. If you think about it, playing, Phantas 2 on the phone would be easy because it's just that point and click interface. It's that mouse interface. It's that hover over interface.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised that more people haven't started developing that more, or redeveloping the old games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Microsoft is apparently acquiring Activision, which means they're going to get all the Sierra titles.
I know, and so it's funny. We one of my Twitter followers, he's that's the other thing. I'm connecting with people all around the world that I never. I mean, it's a small community, but it's worldwide, and so a guy in France who was spent since late 90s, he translates video games into French. And so he was working, he didn't do Phantasmagoria 2, but he was working at the shop that did it. And he opened a drawer and he saw 5 VHS cassette tapes that had all 5 chapters of the game. I think it's only the spoken word scenes, because otherwise I think it was simply for translation. So it's not all the footage, but it's all the scenes that have dialogue in them. And he was smart enough to go, I'm going to hold on to these because they're going to get thrown away into a bin. And we're pretty sure that these VHS cassette tapes are the only Wes Plate, the editor, had held on to about 25 minutes of footage, of uncompressed footage that for his reel that he shared with us, it's really freaking cool. And then with this, so we just did a little Kickstarter campaign to get these digitized, to see what they look like and to see if there's something that would be worthy of upscaling. I know that the Tex Murphy games are doing some major upscaling of their previous games, and it's supposed to be incredible looking. So this could be the first baby step of, either reaching out to Microsoft, maybe getting the rights, figuring out some way to do a remastering of the game, and see what happens. I mean, who knows? That's so big and beyond my abilities, but we sure do want to take a look at what's on these tapes and see.
Oh, absolutely.
So we
send me the link to your Kickstarter. I'm in.
I definitely will.
Well, along those lines, talking to Ken and Roberta, they were talking about the original Phantas, the video that they shot for all that. It was all blue screen and et cetera, but some live things was all shot in ultra high definition. And then it had to be shrunk down to 320 to fit on CDs. Remember, these weren't DVDs.
No, CD-ROM.
CDs. Yeah. And that footage is gone.
I know. My understanding is, wasn't there like some sort of what do they call it? There was some day where everything just got purged and threw stuff and wasn't stuff just being shoveled out into the back lot and burned and stuff like that? I've heard all these crazy stories.
Yeah, I've heard rumors about that too. I think people just didn't know or care or think it'd be important anymore.
Yeah.
We interviewed Al Lowe, Jason and I.
Oh yeah.
And he said the same thing. Is nobody saved this stuff except Al. Al has the original 5 1/4 floppies of the original Leisure Suit Larry code.
That's awesome.
And a bunch of these other things that he had. We're going, oh my, this is gold.
Yeah.
But I just kept them because I knew that nobody saved anything. So, back in the crazy 90s.
Yeah.
But imagine, because Ken was lamenting that he didn't save that footage. And he said, this is a good story on Ken. He said he figured that his storage would be eBay. Because if he ever wanted a copy of this game, I'm sure it'll be available on eBay for $10 at some point. Not realizing that, you can't find a copy of Soft Porn anywhere. And the one copy on eBay has been on there for 5 years and it's $2,000.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So he can't get these old games.
He gambled wrong. He wasn't thinking about it. Yeah.
Not the first
well, gosh,
time
I'll tell you, I'd love to. I've been trying. I'd love to reach out to them. It would be a real delight to talk to both of them at some point. I've got a few connections. Roberta Vaughn, she's doing their community engagement. But I have yet to be able to get to them. Again, I want to talk to you just a little bit. I'm taking up more of your time than I I meant to. So
I got all the time you want to take. I'm enjoying the hell out of this.
I do want to hear about, like, so right now I've got like 2,200 YouTube subscribers. I'm still really under the radar. And I know that, as you said, what I'm doing is unique enough because it's not from a gaming experience. I've got this teeny bit of clout of having been in a game as an actor once, but I do think that this perspective is useful. And I think that people are enjoying it. That's certainly the people that have found me. But I look at like you have this YouTube channel with 10,000 followers, and you put up these really cool, fun. It seems like it's really for your own enjoyment. You're making drinks, you're showing, you're cooking, you're going for walks, you're just doing your thing, and you've got this great group of people that follow you. So I'm very curious how you built that and how you're growing that and how that all works.
Well, it's a really interesting question. I really got into doing my YouTube channel, gosh, I guess about 8 years ago when Jason started his. I helped him start the Metal Jesus Rocks channel, and was appearing on his, and then I wanted to do my own stuff and was putting out a video about once a week, once every few weeks. Not really looking to build it into an empire, but just, as you say, just kind of doing my own thing. And that, it takes a lot, as you know, it takes a lot of work to put together a video. People don't realize how much it takes. It's
I'm still working on iMovie. I finally went to Final Cut Pro, and I'm so overwhelmed by it that I'll edit some things in Final Cut Pro that I can't do in iMovie, and then I take that and I go put it in iMovie because I know how to do it so well.
I did exactly that. I started with iMovie, and then Jason talked me into getting Final Cut Pro, and I learned that. But he's a master at it.
Oh, bad.
He's a master at it. So anyway, it takes a lot of work to do these. For me, what I've seen on YouTube in my small experience is videos that are really nicely edited and produced. They do really well with a good content. And then the ones that are just like, take it and just throw it up there, but it's weird and interesting, those do really well. There's this weird no man's land in the middle where things can be overproduced but dumb. They can be underproduced. It's good content, but nobody can see it or hear it. Audio is way more important than people think.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the way of the world. And I decided not to care and just do what I want and have fun editing. So anyway, back to my channel. So I built that up for a few years, putting my stuff up. It helps that I know Metal Jesus Rocks and he links to me, and we do stuff together. So that helped build my community.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've kind of neglected the channel for the past few years. Primarily because I bought a cookie company, so I have to really focus there. But also my channel got demonetized 4 years ago with the Great Purging. What happened was YouTube put up some new rules saying if you don't have so many views and so much viewing time, you're going to get demonetized. Oh, and the reason for that, and it's a really good reason, I had to have it explained to me because my fifis were hurt, is that wiped out all those horrible spamming channels that would just put up content, just crap content to get a penny here, a penny there. It was just like a spam email. So that worked. It worked great. But from that point forward, I wasn't able to get to the point where it was monetized again. It kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But then I started doing, as you saw, like the walktail videos and stuff. I decided, well, the hell with that. I'm just going to take videos and just throw them up there, just kind of give my peeps a little something now and again, and then do videos whenever I can. So I was fortunate in that I kind of built up to about, I think, like 8,000 or 9,000 subscribers, and they still like me, and I can appear on Jason's channel. And I
feel like maybe you could probably get back to monitor. I mean, it seems like it would take very little for you to get back to monetizing, because you have the subscribers, you have enough minutes, and you're not that, they purged. And I think that people like you may have gotten, got caught in the crossfire a little bit. But now I would imagine if you wouldn't take much, YouTube's a nightmare to deal with in terms of customer support. It's impossible to get somebody, that's not true. I mean, I've been able to find it, but I've had a hard time trying to figure out their
once you have 500,000 subscribers, it's not a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd just like to get to 5,000. That'd be nice. But no. And then
you're right. If I were to put some videos up and actually give my channel some more love, I could get it lit up again pretty fast.
I think you could.
Yeah. And that's something I want to get back to. It's like I said, I put 2 years into my cookie company. I'm finally at the point
where. Tell us about that. Tell us about Midnight Cookie Company. I want to, I want to hear about this awesome, what a perfect thing to have created for the pandemic sufferers.
Yeah, and that was a total accident. So the backstory is that while I was doing Jet City Cakes, I was also coming up with cookie recipes that my friends loved, and they said, "You got to sell these. You got to sell these." And so, okay, one thing at a time. And so I was looking for the kind of the next thing I wanted to do. I was working a tech job for a local real estate company. I was running their customer service. Yeah,
of course you were.
Oh, there's more. There's more. And I'd been doing that for a while. There wasn't really anywhere for me to go. So my wife encouraged me. She said, just take time off and find what you're going to do next. So I took some time off. I worked in a brewery for a while because I was thinking of getting into, I've always wanted to own my own bar. I think that's kind of the 21st century equivalent of the 50s husband wanting to go to Tahiti. He says, I want to retire and run a bar. But you know, I love cocktails and everything. So that seemed logical. So I was researching that, and I came across an ad for a dessert company, and said, okay, well, I'm still thinking about the cookie thing. And the short version is that I researched it, talked to a buddy of mine who is kind of my financial advisor. He thought it was great. He asked if we wanted to partner up, and we decided to buy it now and get into cookie, because he loves my cookies. I made cookies for his wedding, so he loves my cookies.
Nice.
And so we bought this company, and we opened on March 1st, 2020. Why does that date sound familiar? Yeah, I guess 2 weeks later, we shut down.
That was the first guy, right? That was the guy in Seattle that came back with, was that the?
Yeah, that was in Kirkland. It was our first, the first cases. But fortunately, the company, Midnight Cookie Company, and the business model is primarily delivery through like Uber Eats, DoorDash, that kind of thing. Walk up and delivery. So we didn't get shut down, which was really good.
Yeah.
And then we discovered that when people are locked at home, they want some damn cookies.
Darn right.
And so we were able to, not only, I'm really happy I was able to not only keep my employees paid, but we've been able to expand.
That's awesome. So how many stores do you have now?
We have,
or how many?
5 stores.
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, we had 6, but one was in my bakery, and I actually had to shut the retail side of that down because I need more space in the bakery because we need to make more cookies.
Yeah.
So I've got some really, really unsympathetic problems right now. I can't keep making enough cookies for demand. So
oh, that's awesome, man. That is so cool. When I get back to Seattle, we will definitely order some of your cookies.
Excellent. And so yeah, that was the cookie thing. And now that I've got to the point where I'm not working 90-hour weeks to make sure things get out the door, that was the first 6 months, is kind of fixing some things the previous owners didn't do. They just kind of lost steam. They did a great job establishing the company, but then kind of didn't do anything with it. So fix that. And then now I've got a good staff and some good managers, so I actually have some time.
Well, that's the whole point, right? You want to have a business that's kind of running itself, and you check in and make sure everything's going well, but then you can actually, that helps finance and give you some revenue, so you can do some of the other things that you love to do.
Yep. And I really want to get back to making videos and doing my live stream.
Yeah. And, maybe you could even take it to the point where, why it could be a little bit of a crossover. Use some of your videos for the cookie company, because that could be really fun, and then of course that's just promotion for video or for the company. And then you can start to offshoot back towards your other projects that you love.
Yeah, I'm dying to do, I need to make some training videos for some of our equipment and stuff, and I want to do like the old time, like the high school, the buzzsaw and you, and weird grainy thing. What do you do? Don't put your hand on the buzzsaw.
All right, so before I let you go, let's see if we can find you as the monsters. Oh, this might be it. Oh, that's me. So this is it. So that was me. I did not remember that they put me in that mask. In fact,
I think this is me, and they put your eyes in it.
No, because I told Andy, I said, I don't remember this. I was never in the mask. And then he had a picture of me. He showed of me. I had the mask on, or it was kind of off, and my face was all gooey. So I definitely did. So that's me. But here's the thing. We're getting really close to, this is you, right?
I don't know. Are they, where's the scene where you,
this is going to happen right here.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll put give us a little bit of volume here. But I think this is it.
Okay.
Oh, this is before the hand. Oh, there's the goo coming out of your, did you have the goo coming out of your mouth?
I don't remember the goo coming out of my mouth.
Well, where's the moment where, oh, here we go. So I walked right through you. Oh, here it is. Oh, here it is. So this is there. This is it, right?
Yep.
And that's you.
That's me.
That's your hand.
Yep. Because I remember doing that with my hand, so I just show off the goo.
That's awesome. So yeah, at some point, and of course that's me there, but there must have been a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, somebody had to be in that when it wasn't me. So you and I took turns being the monster guy.
Right. So right there at that point, where he's walking up, that's when we were on the set, and it was on just a dummy, and the angle wasn't right.
Okay.
So it was weird because the arm was coming from a strange place. It didn't look natural, and Andy kept saying, "No, it doesn't look right. Can you move here?" And I said, "Can I just get in it?"
Right,
so
right.
they put me in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and
that is awesome.
I wouldn't be surprised because you saw the picture with the face was ripped off, and you're in there. Do you remember being in the full mask?
I don't. I mean, I don't know. That could be you. I don't know.
Okay.
It's all.
So right there, you can't see the teeth.
All right. So why did you have the teeth? You know, it's like where was the?
So I think maybe they shot some stuff they didn't use.
Maybe. Oh, here. What about here? See, this could have been you before. I mean,
I don't remember having goo in my mouth, but I don't remember a lot about those times. And I would. Anyway, I love that having goo.
You were the hand. I love that.
The hand.
Yeah.
And then I was a spectator in the sex scene as they pan around. Very quick thing.
I was going to show that, but there's more sex than spectators, so I figured.
Yeah. The only interesting bit of story on that one is that the makeup person was overwhelmed with all the people he had to do, and I had my makeup with me, so I did my makeup and like 3 other people's. He was so happy. Yeah. He and I got along really well. He's the one who built my teeth, and he was amazing. He did all the special effects. He created all the. Yeah, he was. I'd like to find him. I think I did finally find him. So at some point, I'd love to chat with him about his memories of this. Well, hey, Paul, it is a pleasure, man. It's really, really nice talking to you. I can't thank you enough for taking the time and reminiscing and just kind of talking me through. I'm meeting so many interesting people, and it just gets better and better. So appreciate you coming on. Well, it's really my pleasure. This was a great flashback, and seeing you again. I mean, as you say, we didn't know each other on the set, but we bonded nonetheless. Did we ever? Yeah, we've got an experience that seems to still have real impact on a lot of people. So absolutely. And next, when you're back in Seattle, let me know, and we can go grab a pint and reminisce some more. We'll have a pint and a cookie. Sounds good. Duncan. All right. Well, thanks so much, Paul, and we'll talk to you next time. All right. And that was my awkward ending of my really fun interview with Paul Quinn, otherwise known as Drunken Master Paul. What a cool guy. That was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, thank you so much for your support. And please consider joining us on Patreon. Please like and subscribe and all those things you're supposed to do. And we will see you next time. All right. Bye.